So, this one's going to be about super thinking, the book that we went through the past 2 days, maybe 3 days, not quite sure. And then we're also going to go through something else. It might be some Reddit questions, or it might be something that I've been thinking about today. I'm not quite sure. I'm going to decide then in the episode. But more after the intro. As always, I think I actually have to stop doing that, like doing the exact same thing every single day. But yeah, before we actually go through the article, in the description there should be everything that you need, and there should be the link to the podcast, there should be the link to the YouTube channel, and there should also be the link to all the other social media sites that I am on. So please check them out if you're willing to check them out, or if you're willing to just see what I'm doing besides the podcast. But yeah, let's actually go through, because I do not want to waste any of your time and also of my time. The fourth one, becoming one with nature. And the second, the first, and the third one we went through on yesterday and the day before. And today is going to be the fourth, which is becoming one with nature. I'm going to read it. Adopt an experimental mindset, looking for opportunities to run experiments and apply the scientific method wherever possible. Respect inertia, which is any resistance to a change in direction. Create or join healthy flywheels. Once something is spinning, it takes little effort to keep it spinning, which is, at my point of view, as I'm just thinking about it, is probably going to be the case for every habit that you're having. And whether it be a good habit or whether it be a bad habit. For example, I'm having the habit of just basically recording every single day. And I'm also doing that. It's been a habit for me, and I'm just doing it every day. And it really takes not a lot of effort to do so. Of course, on some days it's not going to be as easy on some other days, but in general, it's not really something that I'm having to put in a lot of work. But it's probably also going to be about some negative things, like smoking, for example. I do not really think that every cigarette you might be smoking is going to just take a lot of willpower. I wouldn't say so. So please create those flywheels. Just stick to habits, I guess, and then those habits are actually going to be or get flywheels rather quickly, I would say, because it still depends on how much you also enjoy them, even though this is not really kind of the most important factor, I guess, but it's also going to be about how easy it is for you and how much resistance there is and what you actually have to do to just make the habit or just do the habit, because if there's a lot of friction just between you and the habit, then there's maybe going to be a day of not doing it, maybe even a week not of doing it, and so on and so on. So there's many different reasons, at my point of view, why a habit can stick and or cannot stick and or become a flywheel and or not. Avoid strategy taxes, a long-term commitment with inertia to an organizational strategy, leading to suboptimal decisions, and trying to enact change in high inertia situations unless you have a tactical advantage, such as discovery of a catalyst and a lot of potential energy, stored energy waiting to be released. I'm just really thinking about, just having a lot of energy and having a lot of passion for whatever you're doing. And just also really looking forward to whatever you're doing. This is what I'm thinking about, even though they might not really mean what I'm referring to. When enacting change, think deeply about how to reach critical mass and how you will navigate the technology adoption life cycle, which is innovators, early adopters, early and late maturity, and then the laggards, which is LAGGARDS. And I don't really know what it is, but I'm still gonna go. Maybe I can look it up. It's a straggler, loiterer, lingerer, dawdler, sluggard, slug, snail, delayer, whatever. So such kind of people, I would say. Use forcing functions, a pre-scheduled event that helps you to take a desired action to grease the wheels for change. Is it a habit, basically? I would say so. Actively cultivate your luck surface area. Make your luck by meeting more people and finding more opportunities. And finding more opportunities might be about having the right perspective and might be about just really searching for them as well, because you can't find something if you're not searching for it. And it is for such a lot of people. It's not only going to be, it's for such a lot of things, also for a lot of people, but just in general for a lot of things. Like, it's not only going to be about opportunities, but it is also going to be about luck. It is also going to be about love. It is also going to be about just being happy and all those things. Like, every feeling, I guess, is just having something to do with trying to find it and also just searching for it in the first place. Because if you're not searching for something, the possibility of you finding it is basically zero, unless you're kind of recognizing it just suddenly and accidentally. But it's not really, like, the probability is not really high to do so. So search for those things, I guess. And put in work needed to be subsumed by entropy too rigid life with few opportunities. When faced with what appears to be a zero-sum or black and white situation, look for additional options and ultimately for a win-win, where both parties end up better off. Because the fact is, there is definitely not a lot of binary things in life. There's a lot of things in life that have gray tones, that are not really black and white, and there's a lot of nuances in life, which is something that that you can't see, and or somebody else that you know can't see. And I think it is actually a cognitive distortion, which is basically, I don't want to say that it is a disease. It is basically kind of a failure and or mistake your brain is having or your mind is having in terms of seeing, and or it's about information, and it is also about processing information. So it's probably, or as I know, or as far as I know actually, it's a way to process the information that you're getting from the outside world in just a wrong way, basically. The problem there is, what is the right way? I don't know, it's really difficult to say, but still, if you can't see that, look for it, search for it, try to see it, and just have perspective, you know? If you're pregnant, it's definitely going to be binary, you know? You're either pregnant or you're fucking not pregnant. But just in terms of business and in terms of a lot of other things, it's not going to be binary. It's going to be like, either I'm going to make 500k and just be happy, or I'm going to make 500k and be not happy, or I make 20k and also be happy, but I'm just doing a different job. You know, I'm doing something else that I'm passionate about or still passionate about. So there's just a lot of nuances, and there's a lot of things to look out for, a lot of factors and metrics that really play into various things in life. Like it's really, really, really not often binary. There are a few things, but really a few things. The fifth one, lies, damned lies, and statistics. Yeah, I can go through that. It's not that long. Avoid succumbing to the gambler's facility. What is a facility? The facility that we all work for 9 to 5. Misconception, mistaken belief, misbelief, delusion, false notion, mistaken impression. Believing that they actually explain it. Believing that a streak of events is more likely to continue while the underlying probability hasn't changed. Anecdotal evidence, informally collected evidence from a person's stories, and correlations you see in data or good hypothesis generators. But correlation does not imply causation. You still need to rely on well-designed experiments to draw strong conclusions. Yeah, only because we assume things, or only because there is a hypothesis, doesn't really mean that it is also validated. Look for tried and true experimental designs, such as randomized controlled experiments, participants randomly assigned to two groups, or A/B testing that show statistical significance. Any isolated experiment can result in a false positive, which is falsely giving a positive result when it really wasn't true, or a false negative, the opposite, and can also be biased with mirrored factors, most commonly selection bias, when the selected sample is not representative of the broader population of interest. Response bias, when an important subset of people fail to respond to an experiment, the result will end up biased. And survivorship bias, which is not accounting for the opinions of former employees. Replication increases confidence in results, so start by looking for a systematic review and or meta-analysis, combining data from several studies into one analysis when researching an area. Always keep in mind that when dealing with uncertainty, the values you see reported or calculate yourself are uncertain themselves, and that you should seek out and report values with error bars, a visual way to display a measure of uncertainty for an estimate. Yeah, that's for sure. Please do that. And that's going to be for the book, or that's going to be it for the book today, and or for today. We're going to go ahead with it tomorrow, and we are maybe like, we're not going to change. We're not going to finish it up tomorrow, but still, to just maybe draw a conclusion of this summary and or this book up to this point, there's a lot of information. Unfortunately, there's also a lot of information that I just don't get, just because of the vocabulary. I do still think that the book is going to do a better job at explaining them, because there's more volume, there's more volume, there's more words, there's more sentences, there's more pages where the author is able to just explain his point. Or the authors are able to explain their point. And Still, I really have to say that the summary is good. It really is good, and it just gives you a lot of insights and a lot of little snippets, that you can use to just research on things. You could also just then look them up and just get more information on them, and so on and so on. So I do just have to say, I don't understand all of it. I do hope, on the other hand, that you understand all of it. But the link to the article is going to be down in the description, so if you want to check it out, please also do so. So I don't know, maybe you just want to have a look at it, maybe you just want to finish it just before I'm finishing it with tomorrow, actually. Yeah, for you it's going to be tomorrow. For me it's going to be the next day, just because I'm always trying to pre-record some episodes, because it's making everything a little bit easier for me. And it is actually just really good translation between the thing that I'm willing to talk about and the book, because I'm willing to talk about changing the way when you do things and not what you're doing and how much you're doing, because I've actually seen that it makes sense. And I've actually seen that it really can help you to just be more productive, maybe to just get more done and not be so, stressed out about it, I guess. For example, I'm always trying to record one episode for the next day. I'm doing that because I'm then able to just write the description, I'm able to just do the thumbnail, and I'm also able to cut the episode while I'm doing something else, while I'm on a train, while I'm in school, in just various different scenarios and various different places. I'm able to do something about that. I'm able to cut the video, and I'm able to do something for the podcast, which makes everything a little bit easier for me. Because if I wouldn't be doing it, then I would actually have to record an episode, and maybe even 2 a day, and then also edit it at the exact same day. And just because of the shift that I'm doing with, I'm going to record it just the day before, which is, it's not going to just stress myself out. In theory, it is actually the exact same amount of work that I'm doing, because I'm always, every single day, recording another episode for the next day. So in theory, I'm doing the exact same thing, but by just shifting when I'm doing the things, I'm able to just not really be stressed out. I'm able to just do things on different times. And this kind of time shift and this time that I'm also giving myself, and I'm basically providing for myself through that, just makes it a little bit easier for me. Because, as I said, I can cut the video while I am on a train. And then while I'm also on a train, I'm going to be able to render it. And then when I'm at home, I do just have to upload it while I'm maybe showering. So it's just a really efficient way. It really is an efficient way, because if I would be at home recording 2 episodes, cutting 2 episodes, which takes quite a lot of time and also a lot of effort and a lot of energy, and doing that after maybe hard day at school or at least long day at school, it's not something that easy. It's not something that nice, and it's also something that's not that suggestible, I would say. Especially if you could just be doing it in a different way or on a different time. And it is also something that is something. It's also having something to do with dieting and fasting, essentially. Because if you're fasting, you're basically not really changing up what you're eating. Probably. Maybe you're also doing that, which is just really great, which is going to elevate the return of investment you're getting. It's going to evaluate the amount of calories you're going to burn. It's going to evaluate or it's going to up the calories that you're burning or the results that you're gaining. But basically, if you're only fasting, then you're only quite changing when you're eating something. And that's quite it. And it still works. Because, of course, it's just, you're not going to be able to eat as much just because you're not having as much time to eat something during the day or just in general. And therefore, you're also going to lose weight and what's on. But you're also the thing is, you're also or only just changing when you're eating. And that's quite it. That's really quite it. And it's just really interesting and this is something that I've realized actually today. Today, when I was in the train, 30 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, something like that, I've realized, maybe 40 minutes, because we're already 14 minutes in. I've realized that it really does make a huge difference, a huge difference. And it might just be about being more efficient and just using your times and doing things simultaneously. But I would rather think about it as shifting times and shifting when you're doing something. But let's actually move through some Reddit questions. So here we are on my homepage, where we are having a look at the self-help subreddit, the Get Motivated Self subreddit, and a bunch of other different subreddits. So let's check out this image. You will fail. I do not even have to read this meme. I do not really have to actually give a fuck about the subtitles quite there and or the context essentially as well. But we all will fail. I'm failing every single day. Basically, I could, it still depends on perspective and it still depends on how you think about things. But every single day when I'm uploading an episode that gets no clicks, which is often the time and often the case for me when I'm just uploading something to YouTube, it's probably not going to get any views. And also the podcast, it's probably going to get maybe 1 play. It's maybe going to get 2 plays. And I do not even know if it is just about just because of the distribution or if it is really people that are actually listening to what I'm saying. I don't know. I really don't know. You could count it as a failure. You could count it as failing each day and every day. But I'm just trying to work with that. I'm trying to just cope with that as well. And I'm also just not trying to remind myself on that too much. On the other hand, it is also great to remind yourself on that. Because if you see that you're failing every single fucking day and then you fucking win, it's going to be amazing. On the other hand, this is also not that good because if you really feel bad all the fucking time just because you failed and you feel really, really good, just really, really immensely and tremendously good if you win something, then it is not quite the best place you can be in. Because you're just going to be either really happy or just really fucked up and really bad mooded. And it is not really cool. I mean, you should always be a little bit just on a positive side, but not really fucking just too happy, whatever. Of course, you should be happy. And of course, the happier you are, the better and whatnot. But you shouldn't get a high out of those things that you just achieved or those things that you've done great. Just because the higher you get, if you do something that you did great, the lower you will also be or the lower you will also feel if something goes wrong. And I felt that and I'm feeling that. And I'm just really trying to figure out how I could do it in terms of, for example, not talking about my wins to other people, which is something that I, at my point of view, think it helped. Even though, on the other hand, because it just enables me to not talk about the things that I did wrong as well, On the other hand, or on one hand, especially back in the days, it was really about grades. I kind of thought about it in such a way, when I'm talking about my good grades, then I really have to force myself to also talk about the bad grades that I had just maybe the day before even or something. And just when I'm talking to my mother and or my parents, I always just trying to do that. And when I'm not really willing to just talk about my bad grades just because of punishment, just because of it's not really something that my mother liked or still likes, then I just decided, okay, I'm also not going to talk about the good things that I did. And I'm also not going to talk about the good grades that I got. To just be in balance maybe. And I really believe that it helped. And always when I'm just then talking about my good grades, I always have been like, okay, and there has been a bad grade as well. But it was fine, it was fine because it's creating a balance, at least in my point of view. I am a chronic complainer and it affects me at home and work, but today I decided to be mindful and kept my guard up against complaining. I ended up having a really good day and feel better. My plan is to do the same thing tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Or actually maybe reading, unless he recorded that, in terms of actually voice, which is actually something that I'm really looking forward to, because it could actually be way, way, way more efficient than typing things into your fucking smartphone. It really takes some time, and if you're talking to something, you're able, and this is also one of the reasons why I like to talk, even though I have been actually thinking about talking and if it is really the exact medium that I should be using or if I should actually be writing and or just designing and whatnot. But the thing is, through voice and through text as well, you're able to communicate things very clearly and also very easily, at least at my point of view, because I'm able to just put down sentences and talk about sentences and just actually have sites of fucking words. Like I'm basically, or probably also talking about hundreds and thousands of words, maybe each fucking episode. And writing that down is not that easy. It is just a really nice way, at least at my point of view, to do so. But about complaining, you shouldn't really complain. Yeah, especially if you're living in a first world country, especially if everything is actually great, and especially if there is not really something to complain about. You can complain about grades, of course. You can complain about the exam you had. You can complain about other people and what they did and whatnot. But what about just not doing it? What about just changing it up? What about just doing something, whatever it might be, completely the opposite for one day? What would change? Would there be a difference even? It is actually an idea from not Seth Godin, but Tim Ferriss. And I think it's a pretty good one. Because we often are living in our space. We're often living just the way that we are living, but we haven't really tried out, which is something that's really applicable to my life and to myself. And we really haven't tried out what it would be the exact opposite way. I don't know what it would be like to just do nothing all day fucking long for one day. I don't know how this would feel like. Well, at least I actually know, because I've been doing it just like a year before, or a little bit more than a year. And it is not something that I really enjoy, because I really feel then unproductive. And this is just a feeling that I do not like. Of course, I would be watching just YouTube all day long, but this is nothing that I would consider really productive. So don't complain, try that out. It is International Men's Day. Man of Reddit, how are you today? I'm feeling good, even though I'm really thirsty actually. And I should actually be, I should really be drinking more, because I think it would also just, it would also provide me with more energy when I'm talking, because often it is the case when I'm talking, and especially when I'm concentrating on talking, then I really get somehow dizzy, really fucking dizzy. And I'm also just feeling like a little bit pain. I really feel like that just the sounds in my ears somehow sound differently, some sorta, but still I'm trying to just have a good episode here. I really am trying. Go out fighting, go out young, a flash of lightning eclipse the sun. Cool. And I also like the artwork. Like I said, it's pretty cool. It reminds me of a game. Maybe it is actually from the game. I don't know. Like, it's the mobile game. I don't remember what it is called, unfortunately. Like, it's a Shadow Fighter or something like that. Probably. But I don't know. 120k month selling award-winning gluten-free pastries. Crushed it on Cupcake Wars. Because I've also been following a bunch of business subreddits and entrepreneurial subreddits and also marketing subreddits, just because I thought like, well, there are a lot of people here on Reddit, and there is a lot of just people that are really knowledgeable in whatever they're talking about and whatever the subreddit may be. And it's really nice to then just have a look at what they're discussing, what they're talking about, and all those things. It's really cool. The Reddit is actually a pretty amazing platform. But I'm willing to have one last thing. I'm willing to have one last thing that is actually worthwhile going through, I would say. Maybe we're actually going to go through. The most important thing to become stoic is stable intelligence, which comes only when you rid off all desires, expectations, hope, and despair. Something that I do want to point out, like, this is going to be something that takes some time, I guess, to actually be doing that for being able to do so. But if it is about expectations and just having expectations, it is definitely something that I have to say is not going to lead to a lot of happiness in the long term. Because also if you're expecting something, like, first of all, the expectations you're having, and also if you're actually expecting something from something. If you're doing something for somebody else, are you then expecting something? If you're expecting something in return, I don't know if it is like the purity of giving then. If it is actually about giving or something else, I don't actually know. It's, of course, depends on the situation. It depends on the scenario. But if it is about giving to charity, and you kind of know that you're going to get back something in terms of taxes and or some other benefits, is it then giving like it is just, of course, it's some ethical question, I guess. But in other terms, if you always expect something from somebody else, then you're going to just really feel not good if you're not getting anything back. Which is probably going to be the case quite often. Unless it is actually some sort of a quote-unquote contract. If you're being like, well, I could do this for you, but I'm getting something back in that way. It happened to me before. I've been deciding something for somebody, but I just didn't get back what he and or she, but I think it's been a he, what he said that I would get. And it really pissed me off. So please don't do so. If you're saying that you will give something to somebody, and I've also been hitting up people, and it's actually happened to me, I think, 2 times. Like, I don't know, just don't do that. Like, there's no reason why you should be doing that. It's only gonna give you just really bad karma. You only just get fucked in the whole fucking long term. Like, it's not gonna be good. Really not gonna be good. But coming back to expectations, if you're always having expectations, really high expectations as well, it will always crush you. If the person is not able to just give back those expectations and or actually give back these expectations, basically. I don't know. So don't have too many expectations, or maybe don't expect anything from anybody. Because if you don't expect anything and you get something, you're probably going to feel better, or you're probably going to feel pretty good just because you've gotten something, but you haven't really expected something. If this makes sense. Of course, this is going to funnel, yeah, it's going to involve some fundamental changes of your conscious about how you think about things and whatnot, but I think it would actually change something. I think that it would actually help quite a lot of people, I guess, because like we're always having expectations. Like a lot of people have a lot of expectations, which is nothing bad. And I think it's just maybe human-like. But yeah, don't expect too much because it's just only going to backfire, I guess. But yeah, this is going to be the end of the episode, I guess. I hope it's been a pretty good episode for you. Like, of course, I can feel good about the episode, but I can also just feel really bad about an episode. But it's about how you feel about the episode. So if there's something that bothered you, just please comment it down. And if there's also something that you've liked, comment it down. I would really appreciate that. But I also just purely appreciate the fact that you stayed with me up to this point and that you've been listening also to podcasts up to this point if you're just at this point in time listening to the podcast. It is amazing. I really tremendously appreciate that. Like really, really, really. So you might be subscribing to the podcast and or the YouTube channel. Maybe not, but yeah. I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which basically means just being a nice person and then also going to be remembered as a nice person, which is something that can be true, something that can be happening. But we are so many people on this planet, there's just going to be some people that dislike you or maybe even hate you. On the other hand, I have 3 questions for you. The first one is, what are you trying to change? The second one is, why are you here? And the third one is, what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, since a lot of people started out with actually solving something that really pissed them off in the first place. And there's probably going to be something that hasn't been solved up to this point and really pisses you off. And then having a good idea and maybe getting some venture capital, maybe, because you're probably not going to have the financial abilities to do so. I guess at least, maybe you actually have, but it's maybe going to just result in a pretty big business. I don't know. I'm going to see you the next time. I at least hope. No, I actually don't hope. Well, yeah, it depends. If it is about motivation and happiness and whatnot, then I really don't hope that you're going to come back, because it then just means that you're not happy and or motivated. And this is not something that I wish you to be. But I'll see you the next time.